Hello and welcome to our presentation for the workshop Virtuality and the Middle Ages. Our topic today will be to go beyond visualization into experiencing medieval objects with XR technology. I'm Mr. Julian Heller and I'm staying here with Mr. Ralf Mahytka, who is the city archaeologist for the city of Höxter, and with Fernando Norpont, managing director from the company Nusec. Let's start with the agenda for today. First about Mr. Fernando Norpont will tell about the company Nusec and XR technology and sustainability. Then Mr. Ralf Mahytka will talk about Corvey and what makes it so special, and the implementation and the usage of AR technologies and medieval objects. Then we will talk about an object recognition AI, some challenges during the projects, and we will give a brief resume about what we did. So please, Fernando, tell us about Nusec.
Thank you, Julian. Nusec is a company that was founded over 35 years ago and specializes in dismantling of nuclear facilities. About 4 years ago, we started with Nusec XR to develop tools to support the dismantling in terms of points planning, training, stakeholder management, with the technologies of virtual reality and augmented reality, and further for conventional projects. Okay, what means XR technologies? XR technologies means augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. Mixed reality and augmented reality are very similar techniques of digital visualization. Real environments can be supplanted with virtual elements, while in augmented reality, the content is projected in front of the real objects. In mixed reality, the virtual elements are integrated as objects in three-dimensional space. In addition, you can interact with the objects at mixed reality. Virtual reality is the complete immersion in a virtual three-dimensional world without a real environment.
So, on a brief review, virtual reality would be a deep dive into a complete digital world. Augmented reality would be the augmentation of digital objects into the real world, and mixed reality would be the merging of the digital and the real world, where the project would coexist and be interactive. XR technologies and sustainability. The XR technologies provided by Nusec XR are designed to be a non-disposable product which can be maintained and extended over its lifetime. With XR technologies, it is possible to spare resources and increase work safety and to create new digital workspaces. About Corvey, please, Mr. Mahytka, tell us about the Pompeii at Weser.
Thank you, Julian. The description Pompeii of the Weser is very good and right. Because the medieval city Corvey is a deserted city and in the soil, under the soil now. But maybe some basic dates. The medieval city Corvey was founded by the monastery Corvey in the middle of the 12th century. And the first written appearance is around 1190, 1200 as a new city Corvey, south of the monastery. And in 1265, so only 100 years later, maybe around 100 years later, the city Corvey was destroyed by the Paderborner bishop and the citizens of Höxter. And this is what is very special. The city was not rebuilt after the attack, and so the Pompeii of the Weser is a really right description. Today, as I said, the deserted city lays under the soil, and it's very difficult to explain and to get access to the city's structures like streets and houses. How was the building? How was the organization of the city? Because you only have the soil and no structures anymore, with some exceptions of the city wall. So we have been looking for a method to explain parts of the city to a broad audience, and so we took contact to Nusec, and we decided with the help of Nusec to digitally reconstruct some city parts like the market church, the one medieval house, the bridge, the Hellweg or the main street with a cart, and the fortification with a moat and palisade with one soldier, which is really impressive. And after some time we got another idea. It was a really nice working process, and we are thinking about to recognition old objects with digital methods.
Yeah, and the aim was to bring the objects on the real position to life again, so we go beyond simple digital reconstruction with a 3D cut program, and the idea is to use augmented reality to build on a one-scale model that can be experienced by a user via a smartphone. Yes. So we have about the church. Would you please tell us about the informations? What was already known about the church?
Yeah, this is a really nice example how archaeology, geophysics, and later the digitalization, augmented reality fits together. So as you see, the basics for the reconstruction of the church is partly by archaeology. In 1988, Professor Hans-Georg Stephan excavated the east part of the church, and in 2019, before the Landesgartenschau started, the Landschaftsverband Westfalen-Lippe and the Ludwig Boltzmann Institute in Vienna took some geophysical investigations, and by the ground radar they could see the complete foundation plan of the church, and by this later Nusec and Landschaftsverband Westfalen-Lippe could reconstruct the church building. And for example, this is part of the working by the Landschaftsverband Westfalen-Lippe, Joris Kohlen, by the size of the pillars and the foundation walls, you could reconstruct some cross faults, for example. And this is a special building style starting at the middle of the 12th century, and this is the precise the time in which the city was founded. So the market church was built for the new city. And this is the ground part for the reconstruction with the augmented reality for Nusec.
Yeah. So what we see here is basically on the left side the fully reconstructed 3D model built up with Unity by our 3D artist. And we took Weser sandstone as material, since it's nearby obtainable in the Solling. And on the right side you will see now the excavation site. Now it's flat, and then you can see how the model will build up as in an augmented reality application on a mobile device to be experienced by the user. And if we go further, we can also see how the user can walk around or walk inside the church and experience, not just visualize the full authentic object on a one-to-one scale. Let's go to the medieval house.
Yeah, the next example is a medieval house which was reconstructed by Dr. Hubertus Michels, who is working at the Open Air Museum Detmold, and he is historic for building. And this example he reconstructs is from a nearby deserted city called Ninova. At the same time, it was excavated a little bit more than Corvey, and by the archaeological investigations and the knowledge of Mr. Hubertus Michels, he reconstructed a house. And this house is now standing in this deserted city, Ninova, one-to-one, and we took it together with Nusec as ground part for the reconstruction.
So the house we see here is not rebuilt or has not been rebuilt at Corvey. It has been rebuilt in Ninova, but it's an authentic. The authenticity is given because it's the same time. We talking about the same time period where this have been built.
This is really the same time, the same building style, and the archaeological investigation you can really good compare with this in Corvey.
Yes, very nice. So let's talk about the Hellweg.
Yeah, and the third example is the main street of Corvey. It was also excavated by Professor Stefan in the 80s, and he found out that the street, that's the main street, is plastered with sandstone, and on both sides to the driving lane we have two modes, and on both sides of the modes we have a plastered but not so lightly plastered walking way
for pedestrians.
For pedestrians in this way, and altogether it is 10 to 12 meter wide. The main court, the plastered main court, was so wide that two carts could pass each other without no problem. And if you take a detailed look, you can see in the ground some lines, and this is part of the carts which pressed into the stone, so there must be a lot of traffic. And this says that the city was really flourishing in this time, and the street was used pretty much. And the main street, I have to say, is part of the Westfälischen Hellweg, which connects the River Rhine with the Weser and the city Duisburg to Corvey, and with a lot of important cities like Dortmund, Soest on the way.
So it was quite also an important economic hub there.
Yeah, for sure. The street was very important for the economic, the same as the river Weser, the same, but the street was one of the main parts to go from east to west.
Yeah. Let's commence with the object recognition artificial intelligence. Mr. Mahytka, what do we see on this slide?
On the right side, you see the typical cooking vessel from the 13th century, found in the medieval city Corvey. And on the left side, it's a pretty special objects. It's surgery instruments from the doctor, from the chirurg of the Weser. And from left to right, I can explain it a little bit. It's a scraping iron to lose the skin from bone, for example. Then a part of a scissor, and on the right side 2 needles, and in the middle it's part of metal which is using to burn out wounds,
just to burn out wounds, to stop them bleeding, like cauterizing wounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so how was the idea, or how did we came up with the idea to use object recognition artificial intelligence?
Yeah, this is not a long story, but a pretty good. So it's a some short time, but maybe I can begin the first idea we had for the Landesgartenschau. We have a excavation area which is not real, it's covered by sand, but you can find structures like the real excavation parts, like reconstruction of cellar, reconstruction of the main street. And the first idea was that people who visited the Landesgartenschau can take one part as a giveaway from a 3D printed part of an original object. And then we calculated a little bit, and it's a really big size amount of parts you have to build. So then we are remembering the good old Panini pictures, collectible cards, and and we asked if you could make it digital. And then you have a digital collecting book. And so we took again the original objects from the excavation, and all of these parts you can find digital and are from Corvey. And for example, on the right side, you can see now the horseshoe and the blue, the fragment in blue you can find as a 3D print in the excavation area, and then you can scan it again with your smartphone and you can get the reconstruction of the horseshoe, or the next example here is a key. So you only find a part of a key, and by scanning you can get the complete part, the complete object, with some explanation.
Yes, so for the young archaeologist, also something to experience with their smartphone and without the smartphone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some technical challenges. Fernando, please.
Okay, the main technical challenge was the precise positioning of the virtual buildings and the creation of a friendly user interface. This was a very big challenge. Most users are not tech savvy and do not belong to the PC generation. And since there are not direct representations of the buildings, we had to orient ourselves on comparable buildings from the time. The reconstruction was carried out in close coordination with the city archaeologist, Mr. Mahytka. Another challenge was the artificial intelligence supported object recognition of the fragments. Here, not only the shapes, but also the colors and the background played an important role in a clear recognition and assignment.
Okay, this is really interesting. So, on a further review, how was the overall feedback?
I think the feedback was very good, and our biggest challenge was to combine this for the young and for the old people, and I think we did it with our application, and we have always positive feedback from the people.
Yes, I think what we can also say is there's a quite high amount of users does not understand or know that they can actually experience the object, the augmented reality object. They just scan it and then they watch it, but they stand still. And the people just don't know that they can go inside, they can wander around, they can go closer and watch nearby and really details. But well, I think this is something what we see with the younger ones. They just have a more play style, so they just walk inside, while the little bit older generation, they just watch it.
This is a red generation problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's next? For us, or we think that the object recognition AI may be also interesting for the scientific use. It may be supportive within the categorizing of objects. And yeah, we are currently also working to make the models to work without a trigger graphic. And we are also currently working on an AR city guide for a historic heritage site. For us, it was a really interesting project because it took us away from our usual business, and we had a lot of fun to work with Mr. Ralf Mahytka and with the city of Höxter and to build this exciting AR experience for the Landesgartenschau and the Archaeological Park.
For me, it was the same. Really good time to work with Nusec, and it was really exciting to see what is possible. And it's, for me, as an archaeologist, a new access point maybe for reconstruction and so on. Really good.
Yeah. Then thanks you for your attendance and have an enjoyable workshop. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.